The same surveillance infrastructure that connected Epstein to Israeli intelligence is now being deployed domestically, openly. Palantir Technologies, founded with CIA seed money in 2003, has spent 2 decades building data mining platforms that aggregate information from disparate sources into what amounts to near omniscient insight. Peter Thiel's company, which also invested in Carbion alongside Epstein, now holds contracts worth over $1 billion with the Department of Defense and has embedded itself throughout the national security establishment. By 2025, Palantir's role in U.S. domestic surveillance had expanded dramatically. The company's software underpins immigration enforcement operations, predictive policing initiatives, and interagency intelligence sharing systems. ICE awarded Palantir a $96 million contract to upgrade its integrated case management platform with AI-driven analytics, facial recognition, and network mapping designed to conduct complete target analysis and flag individuals based on biometrics, social ties, and predictive risk models. One ICE official described it as Amazon Prime, but with human beings. The ACLU calls it the backbone of a pre-crime state. In 2012, Palantir quietly embedded itself into the New Orleans Police Department through a nonprofit partnership that sidetracked public oversight. The company gained access to arrest records, licenses, addresses, and phone numbers to build a shadowy predictive policing program. Palantir's software mapped webs of human relationships, assigned residents algorithmic risk scores, and helped police generate target lists, all without public knowledge. We very much like to not be publicly known. A Palantir engineer wrote in an internal email later obtained by The Verge. Similar programs operated in Los Angeles, where the software designated chronic offenders and disproportionately targeted minority neighborhoods. Both cities eventually scrapped the programs after public outcry, but the appetite for algorithmic foresight persists. By 2025, UK police forces had partnered with Palantir on Nectar, a pilot program processing data from over a dozen police forces to create profiles of individuals about to commit a criminal offense. The project sparked alarm from civil liberties groups warning it would facilitate dystopian predictive policing and mass surveillance. Denmark integrated Palantir into the country's military, police, and intelligence services. The Netherlands confirmed Dutch police had used Palantir since 2011, with contracts kept secret despite repeated transparency requests. Trump's second administration awarded Palantir $113 million in new and existing contracts, with deliberations underway for the Social Security Administration and Internal Revenue Service. The company's stock doubled in value following Trump's re-election. The pattern holds. The same surveillance technologies pitched as counterterrorism tools migrate to domestic law enforcement. The same pre-crime AI that Carbion marketed to detect mass shooters becomes the backbone of immigration enforcement and predictive policing. The infrastructure expands. Oversight contracts. No algorithm is neutral. If predictive tools are built on biased data and assumptions, they reproduce and reinforce those inequalities. Palantir's own former employees warn that the systems enable a vast and complex immigration enforcement and detention regime, where everyday activities, including social media posts, are tracked, collected, and used for authoritarian policing. I simply cannot live in a world where my grandchildren have to be processed through a database where their everyday activities are tracked, said one Palantir whistleblower. I don't want to live in that world, and I think it's worth risking my career and even my personal safety to speak out about this. Yet the expansion continues. By November 2025, Palantir's valuation had reached $430 billion, over 600 times its 2024 earnings. The Economist called it possibly the most overvalued firm of all time. The infrastructure is being built. The now Vice President J.D. Vance, once a worshiper and current business partner of Thiel, has been installed by said infrastructure, which includes Anduril, a measure to ensure that they have total power since they already have kingly sums of money between their deep state hooves. The question is whether or not anyone will be held accountable for what it enables. Will our knowing beforehand make a difference? In July 2023, David Grush appeared before the House Oversight Committee and testified under oath about a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. He claimed to have interviewed over 40 witnesses with direct knowledge, said non-human biologics had been recovered from craft, and alleged that people had been threatened or killed to maintain secrecy. The Pentagon denied everything. IRO Director Sean Kirkpatrick claimed Grush had refused to speak with IRO, making his claims impossible to investigate through official channels. When Grush sought security clearance to discuss details in a classified setting, he was denied. In January 2024, lawmakers left a classified briefing frustrated. Representative Raja Krishnamurthy said, they, quote, haven't gotten answers we need. Representative Tim Burchett described playing whack-a-mole with the executive branch. Senator Chuck Schumer and Senator Mike Rounds proposed a UAP Disclosure Act with broader record access requirements. The legislation was neutered in committee. Bipartisan calls for a select committee with subpoena power went nowhere. Witnesses feared intimidation. Documentary evidence, the thing that would settle the question one way or another, was never produced. Hearings generated headlines. Closed-door briefings yielded nothing. No accountability for the alleged decades-long cover-up. No accountability for the alleged harassment of whistleblowers. No accountability at all. The pattern is the point. An intelligence-connected sex trafficker operates for decades with the participation of the world's most powerful people. Money is paid. No one is prosecuted. A global religious institution covers up systematic child abuse for generations. Money is paid. No one is prosecuted. Transformative energy technologies are classified under vague national security authorities with no public oversight. The suppression continues. A catastrophic fire destroys a historic Hawaiian town while officials delay water release. Money is paid. No liability admitted. Whistleblowers testify to Congress about a secret program involving non-human technology. Evidence is denied. No investigation proceeds. These are not conspiracy theories. These are documented events reported by mainstream outlets, confirmed by official investigations, acknowledged by institutions themselves. The documents are public. The settlements are public. The testimony is public. What is not public is accountability. The pattern does not require coordination between domains. It does not require a master plan. It requires only that power protects itself, that money substitutes for justice, and that institutions survive the individuals who are harmed by them. The question is not what happened. We already know what happened! The question is, where are the arrests? The real conspiracy wasn't that powerful people did terrible things. The real conspiracy was convincing you that asking about it made you crazy! The pattern is clear. The documentation is public. The question is no longer what happened. It's what happens next. Individual action. Stop waiting for institutions to police themselves. They won't. Demand transparency from elected officials. File FOIA requests. Support investigative journalists who do accountability work. Miami Herald's Julie K. Brown forced the Epstein case back open when institutions wanted it buried. Support the kind of journalism. Reject the gaslighting. When you remember broken promises, trust your memory. When official narratives don't match documented facts, trust the documents. The conspiracy theorists weren't crazy. They were. When institutions pay billions to avoid prosecution, demand criminal charges. When internal investigations find only, quote, poor judgment, demand independent prosecutors. Transparency in surveillance. Palantir, Carbine, and similar companies operate in your cities right now. Demand public disclosure of police department contracts. Demand oversight of predictive policing systems. Demand accountability when algorithms target communities without evidence of actual crimes. Support transparency legislation. The Invention Secrecy Act allows 6,543 patents to be suppressed with no public oversight. Demand citizen review panels. Support organizations like freethetech.org, working to expose what technologies are being suppressed and why. Challenge the settlement playbook. When institutions pay billions to avoid prosecution, demand criminal charges. When internal investigations find only, quote, poor judgment, demand independent prosecutors. The Catholic Church, J.P. Morgan, Apollo, MIT, none faced consequences because settlements were accepted as justice. Organized locally. Cities like New Orleans and Los Angeles scrapped Palantir programs after public outcry. Grassroots coalitions can challenge surveillance expansion. Campaign Zero's efforts against ShotSpotter demonstrate that organized communities can push back successfully. Political action. Demand select committees with subpoena power. The UAP hearings demonstrated that without enforcement mechanisms, testimony generates headlines but zero accountability. Bipartisan calls for empowered oversight went nowhere. Some make that a litmus test for your representatives. Reject the uniparty. When both parties protect the same elite interests, partisan loyalty is a trap. Vote for accountability regardless of party. Realize both candidates who take money from institutions that paid settlements to avoid prosecution are the problem. Support candidates who demand answers and show moral fortitude, despite being leaned on by foreign murderous despots in the Holy Land. End purpose limitation destruction. Trump's 2025 executive order attempts to eliminate fair information principles, allowing any federal agency to access data collected by another, regardless of original purpose. This is the legal framework for total surveillance. Demand its reversal. Support whistleblower protection. David Grush was denied security clearance to discuss classified details. Palantir employees risk careers to speak out. Without protection for those who expose wrongdoing, accountability dies in darkness. Now here is what's at stake if we don't act. This isn't about left versus right.
These risk careers to speak out. Without protection for those who expose wrongdoing, accountability dies in darkness. Now here is what's at stake if we don't act. This isn't about left versus right. This isn't about partisan advantage. This is about whether power answers to anyone. This is about collectively doing what it takes to get this nation the way
it was supposed to be. The way we were once taught it was, yet the likes of literal generations haven't truly experienced in any way. Not since before the Fed. Not since before the manufactured world wars. Not since before the Civil War. I could even go back further. We need to get corporations and basically all things not directly government related out of seats of power and influence where only a person should be. I digress. To sum things up here, an intelligence-connected sex trafficker operated for decades with elite participation. Money was paid. No one is in prison except the one person who couldn't pay. A religious institution covered up systematic child abuse. Billions were paid. No one is in prison. Transformative technologies are suppressed with no public accounting. The suppression continues. A catastrophic fire destroyed a historic Hawaiian town while officials delay response. Money was paid. No liability admitted. Whistleblowers testify to secret programs. Evidence is denied. No investigation proceeds. Surveillance infrastructure expands into every aspect of public life. Contracts are signed in secret. Oversight contracts. The pattern does not require coordination. It requires only that power protects itself, that money substitutes for justice, and that institutions survive the individuals they harm. The question is not what happened. We already know what happened. The question is, where are the arrests? The real conspiracy wasn't that powerful people did terrible things. The real conspiracy was convincing you that asking about it made you crazy. The whole time, they've been busy making us believe we're seeking disclosure. It's time we bring our employees back to reality and show them that we demand accountability. They're not robbing us blind for us to be treating them like TV stars. Well, they're not supposed to be. Let's put that behavior they have to bed in a civil fashion. Bad enough most all of them are related in the first place.
The roosters are illusions.
Yo, hold up!
Please like and subscribe, share, get us out there. Not sure which I'm doing next time because there's 2 projects, but you can bet I'll be challenging the status quo and letting you know what's up.
Glitch in the matrix, crack in the air. Frequencies bending, I'm unaware. Pulsing, feel it near. Nintendo lights a neon spree. Bass drops hard, it's all we need. Messages loop like a broken game. Forgotten gods calling my name. Their beats a whisper, their beats a roar. I keep on dancing, I want more.